Hey, what's up, everyone? CS here. Welcome back to a new episode of Strengths to Wealth, where you'll discover more about yourself, your strengths, and how they relate to your wealth and performance. Now, in today's episode, we will explore why self love is the most important key to helping us find out what makes us special. Now, many people don't find their own strengths and they don't think there's anything special about them, in fact. But when you think about it, every single person is unique. Every single person is special. So why can't they find their own strengths and talents? Now, what if the real reason behind why they can't find out what's special about them is because they don't prioritize themselves first, meaning they don't love themselves. Okay, so what is loving yourself? Now, loving yourself is to treat your own needs and also your own growth as important, right? So often we tend to prioritize what other people want, whether it's your work, your boss, your spouse, your children, your family, or your friends, right? We tend to prioritize what they want so much that we neglect the most important person in our life who's doing all the work, which is us, right? So a lot of the times, even though everyone says that, oh yes, I practice self-love, I always love myself, but realistically speaking, when you are doing a lot of things that prioritize other people and prioritize what other people want, you're actually not taking care of yourself. You're actually not loving yourself. So I find it helpful to ask myself this, right? If I were not me, but I was looking at myself as a third party, as my best friend, then how will I see myself? Will I criticize myself as much as how I normally beat myself up? Or will I see my own happiness, my needs as important? And will this best friend actually agree with how I'm sacrificing my needs and wants regularly to make other people happy? So after a while, if you practice looking at yourself in third person, right, and you practice being someone who is your best friend, you will find that it's much easier to look at your own decisions, the day-to-day decisions that you make, and see if these are the actions of someone who really love themselves. Okay, so having said that, how exactly does self-love help us to discover our own strengths and talents? Now, there's three ways that self-love helps us to do that. The first way is you need to understand that people who love themselves, right, will automatically try to find out what work makes them happy and motivated. You see, most people don't work because they actually like what they do. Most people work out of fear of having no money, or they think that it's normal to, not like what you do, right? And this kind of belief comes from the education system, or perhaps, your childhood experiences that force you to learn a lot of things that maybe you have no interest in, but you still have to learn them, if you want to do well in exams, if you want to, you know, have good grades. Okay, so the problem with doing a lot of things that you don't necessarily like is that it goes against your own nature and it makes it harder for you to discover what is unique about yourself. Right? So the key to discovering your strengths and talents is to find out what you love, not what you don't love. Right? To find out what makes you feel strong and to figure out how to do more of these activities in your work, right? As well as let go of the activities that make you feel weak. Which brings us to our second point, right? People who love themselves want their lives to get better. Now, this may sound very obvious, but how do we actually uh, discover our strengths and talents, and why is it so important to discover our strengths and talents, right? Because when you discover your own strengths and talents, it's much more enjoyable to improve at what you love, what you're doing when you love to do it consistently, correct? And this improvement is what allows you to add more value to others. And guess what happens when you add more value to others? You start to make more money for your hard work, right? And that makes your life better. Why? Because money is a catalyst, wealth is a catalyst, agree? So when you have more money, or you have more resources and options that help you to improve your life in all aspects. Whether you're thinking about relationships, now you can go on more vacation, you have more free time with your family, right? You have better health because now you can afford better health care, right? And self-growth and so on. Okay. And finally, people who love themselves don't live for others. They live for their own joy and they spread that joy to others. Okay. So what I mean, many of us, especially when you have a family, you have kids, right? You want to do the best for your family and kids. Now the problem is, in the process of wanting to do the best for others, very often we neglect our own needs. And sometimes we will say that, yeah, it's okay, the I just need to take care of others first before I take care of myself. But the problem is you can't sacrifice your own needs in favor for others and think there's not going to be any negative consequence. Right? Because over time you will start to get resentful, you start to get angry, and you start to get bitter when you start to do things for others. And you feel like they don't appreciate your efforts. And this is what happens when you don't love yourself. You subconsciously think that everyone else is more important than you. So when you're in a state of no self-love, it's actually very difficult to find your strengths and find out what's unique about you, because part of you is convinced that there's actually nothing good about you, right? So your strengths and talents only show up when you decide to follow what's good about you, the things that you find enjoyable, the things that you find easy to do, and the things that you can create a lot of result with, right? So if you find yourself doing a lot of things for others, yet you constantly feel unhappy, feel unappreciated, and you wonder why is this that you can't seem to find out what's so unique about you. This is the reason. Okay, so if you want to break through this pattern, just remember, you can't give what you don't have, right? So if you don't have enough energy, you don't have enough motivation and happiness for yourself, when you try to help others, when you try to take care of others, you are just going to drain yourself dry. Okay, so you need to start by being curious about what things you do that make you feel strong, that make you feel energized, make you feel motivated whenever you do them. Right? So when you start to be curious, when you start to be open to trusting that yes, there's actually, you know, uh very unique aspects of yourself, very unique strengths for yourself. And you can find them by enjoying yourself. This is when this journey will lead you to your happiness and your strengths. Okay? What do you think? Do you agree with what I just shared? Or do you have any personal experience when you went through that, resonated with anything that you heard earlier? I'll be interested to know, share your experiences in the comments below. And of course, if you have any topic that you'd like me to dive deeper into, you can share them in the comments below as well, and I will see if I can make a more dedicated video for that. Okay, so as always, this is CS. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.